Settle in, friend. Let your shoulders drop a little, as if you've just taken off a coat you no longer need. Let the day loosen its grip, one small thread at a time. Tonight, we're traveling very far back, not in a rush, not with bright headlines or sharp facts, but the way a quiet river travels, steadily, softly, in its own patient rhythm. Imagine a night so old it feels like the first night. Above you, the sky is not crowded with electric light. It is deep and clean, a dark velvet bowl scattered with calm, steady stars. And below that sky, the land rests in wide, open breaths, a plain of river silt, low reeds whispering in the breeze, and the faint, familiar scent of earth after a long, warm day. Somewhere in the south of ancient Mesopotamia, where the great rivers loosen into marsh and canal, a city once sat close to the edge of water and wilderness. Its name was Eridu. Even if you've never heard the name before, you can still feel it, because it carries the simple comfort of a place built near water, a place where people learn to listen. Eridu was known as a home of Enki, a god of deep waters and quiet wisdom, the kind of wisdom that doesn't shout, the kind that waits beneath the surface until the mind becomes still enough to notice. So, if you can, picture yourself walking slowly through a cool courtyard at night. The ground beneath your feet is packed earth, gently smoothed by many footsteps. A clay wall holds the day's warmth like a memory. And as you pass, you can feel that warmth soften into the air. Above the wall, the sky is wide and patient. The only sounds are the soft click of insects, the far hush of water moving through reeds, and your own breath. Steady, faithful, unhurried. You are not alone here. A guide walks with you, someone ordinary, kind and calm, not a hero, not a warrior, not a person of loud importance, just a keeper of small things, a person who knows the comfort of order, the gentle safety of placing each object where it belongs. In their hand, they hold something small enough to fit in your palm. They lift it toward a torch's warm glow, and the light slides across polished stone, making a color appear that seems deeper than color should be. Blue. Not the bright blue of a sign or a screen, a blue like evening water, a blue like the gap between stars, a blue that feels cool against the forehead. It is lapis lazuli, and shaped from that lapis is a tiny cylinder seal, a small carved stone that when rolled across damp clay leaves behind a picture, the way a slow wave leaves a pattern in sand. Before we drift deeper into tonight's gentle journey, remember to subscribe to Ancient Sleep Story. Here, you'll always find peaceful stories that soothe the heart and quiet the mind. Where are you listening from tonight? Leave a comment. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Your guide places the seal in your open hand. It is surprisingly heavy for its size, a little piece of mountain carried into a riverland, a traveling fragment of distant earth. You turn it gently between your fingers. The surface is cool and smooth, but beneath the smoothness, there is texture, tiny carved lines that catch the torchlight in soft, delicate flashes. You do not need to hurry to understand. You can simply hold it. You can simply feel how something so small can contain a whole world. In the ancient cities of the rivers, seals like this were used every day, not with drama, not with thunder, but with the quiet seriousness of routine. A basket of grain, a jar of oil, a door to a storeroom, a tablet of clay still damp from the scribal hand. A seal would roll once, and a mark would appear. And that mark was a kind of gentle promise. This belongs here, this is accounted for. This is part of the shared order that keeps a city breathing. Some people, long ago, may have felt comfort in that. The same kind of comfort you might feel tonight when you lock your door, when you place your phone face down, when you fold a blanket and let it rest across your legs. Order is not always about control. Sometimes it is simply a way to make the world feel safe enough for the heart to unclench. Your guide walks with you toward the edge of a temple enclosure. The torchlight makes a warm pool on the ground, and beyond that pool, the night returns to darkness. Not threatening, just vast, just honest. A low breeze moves through the reeds. Somewhere, water shifts in its channel, and the sound is like a long exhale. Eridu, in old stories, was a place where the fresh waters rose from below. People imagined a hidden ocean beneath the earth, cool and endless, an underworld sea that fed springs, canals, and life itself. Whether or not that is literally true, the image is gentle. A reminder that beneath dry land, beneath heat and dust and noise, there may be something cool and steady, something that continues quietly, even when we are too tired to notice. Your guide stops beside a basin. The water in it is dark, reflecting the torch like a small, golden moon. They dip their fingers in and lift them out, and the droplets fall back with tiny, soft sounds. Enki's water, the guide murmurs, as if speaking to themselves, as if the words are meant to settle in the air and then dissolve. Then, slowly, they take the lapis seal from your hand, not to snatch it away, but to show you something. They press the seal into a little tablet of clay. The clay gives softly, like bread dough. Then the seal rolls, one smooth turn, and a scene appears. It is small, yet unmistakably deliberate, a seated figure, calm and still, a throne beneath them, a line of attendants or offerings, and above, a crown that rises in gentle tiers, like a hill made of horns and quiet authority. But even here, there is no violence, no shouting, just posture, just placement, just the visual language of this is where things belong. In Mesopotamian art, the horned crown was a sign of divinity. The more tiers of horns, the higher the being in the cosmic order. It was a simple idea told in a simple shape, layer upon layer, like steps, each level held by the one beneath it. Your guide lets you look for a long moment. Then they brush a thumb lightly over the clay, not to erase the image, but to soften the edges of your attention. We don't need to solve it, they say. We only need to see it. In a quiet corner of the courtyard, someone sets down a basket of reeds, and you hear the soft scrape of fibers against clay. Small sounds, ordinary sounds, proving that life can be gentle when we let it rest. And that perhaps is the first gift of this ancient night, a way of looking that does not demand, a way of knowing that does not clench. As you stand in the torch's glow, your mind begins to notice other things. The scent of resin in the flame, the faint sweetness of date palm carried on the breeze, the way the wall's warmth is turning gentle, not hot. The guide begins to walk again, and you follow. They lead you along a narrow path, past low rooms where people once stored grain, past a small workshop where a craftsman might have sat, carving stone with patient hands. Imagine the craftsman's day. Not frantic, not filled with alarms. The sun rises, the river moves, a bowl of water sits nearby. A piece of lapis waits on the mat. The craftsman turns the stone in their fingers, listening for the right place to cut. They do not carve to shock. They carve to align. They carve to make an image that will roll true again and again, each time leaving the same calm promise in clay. In a world that can feel unpredictable, repetition can be a kind of shelter. If time were a long corridor, would you prefer to walk or breathe? You don't have to answer out loud. Just let the question drift around your mind the way a leaf drifts on slow water. The path bends, and you reach a place where the temple opens toward the marsh. The horizon is low. The stars seem closer. The water beyond the reeds reflects them, as if the sky has decided to rest twice, once above, once below. Your guide pauses. They take out the seal again, and for a moment the lapis looks almost black in the night until the torch catches it and the blue returns. Lapis travels, they whisper. It comes from far mountains, from places with cold air and hard stone. It arrives here in the warm riverlands, and it becomes a piece of night you can hold. They let the seal rest in their palm, as if it is a sleeping creature. Tonight, they say softly, we will follow this blue. We will follow where it has been and what it meant to people who needed calm just as you do. Not for power, not for fear, but for the quiet comfort of a world with patterns. The torch flickers, and the light dances over the carved lines. For an instant, the tiny figures seem to move, not like a sudden surprise, but like a slow memory waking. And you realize there is more on the seal than you first saw, and a small ring shape in one hand, a straight rod in the other, simple forms like geometry, made gentle. Your guide looks at you, and their voice becomes even quieter. Come, they say, let's step into the image. When your guide says, let's step into the image, there is no sudden flash, no sharp change. It happens the way sleep happens, slowly, quietly, almost without your permission. You look again at the small clay tablet, at the rolled impression. A seated figure, a crown in gentle tears, a rod and a ring. And then you notice something else, something tender in its simplicity. The space around the figures is not crowded. There is room for breath. Your guide takes the tablet with care, as if carrying a warm cup. They set it on a low ledge where the torchlight can reach it, but not overwhelm it. Then they invite you, only with a tilt of the head, only with patience, to soften your gaze. If you like, let your eyelids rest a little heavier. Let your jaw loosen as if the day's conversations have finally ended. Breathe in through your nose, slow and easy. And breathe out as if you are letting sand slip through an open hand. The lines on the clay begin to feel less like lines and more like a doorway. In your imagination, the small throne expands. The ring becomes the size of the moon's halo. The rod lengthens into a staff that could touch the ground and the sky at once. And the horned crown, once only a few carved ridges, rises like a terraced hill, steady and calm. You are standing now not in a courtyard, but in a room where stone and brick hold a coolness that never quite leaves. The air smells faintly of clay, of smoke, of cedar resin. A torch burns nearby, its flame steady in the sheltered space, and the light it gives is not bright, but kind. This is a temple room, but not an empty one. It is filled with quiet work. A woman kneels beside a wooden chest. She does not hurry. Her hands move with the careful rhythm of someone folding cloth at the end of a long day. She lifts out a garment, linen, soft, pale, stitched with patterns that catch the torchlight like small waves. Another person holds a bowl of water, and when the woman dips her fingers in, the droplets fall with gentle, patient sounds. You understand without needing anyone to explain that this is a moment of tending, not of conquering, not of proving, tending. On a low table rests a statue, still, silent, neither frightening nor demanding. It is simply there, like a pillar of calm. The woman smooths the garment over the statue's shoulders, adjusting the fabric so it falls evenly. A second person brings jewelry, a necklace that glows softly, a rosette-shaped ornament, a band of metal that looks warm in the torchlight. Each piece is lifted, placed, and released, as if the act itself is a prayer. Your guide stands beside you, their voice barely above a whisper. Sometimes, they say, Beauty was not meant to be worn all day. It was meant to be brought out for the sacred hour and then put away again. Even gold needed rest. You feel the comfort in that idea, that even the most shining things are allowed to sleep. The torchlight moves across the jewelry, and for a moment you see the blue again, lapis set into gold, deep as evening water. The blue is not loud, it doesn't compete. It simply holds its depth, like someone who has learned the strength of silence. Your guide leads you out of the temple room through a corridor where the floor is cool beneath your feet. Outside, the night air is softer. Above, the stars look the same as before, but now they feel closer, like witnesses who do not judge. A narrow canal runs alongside the path, reflecting starlight in broken lines. A small boat is tied to a post. Its reeds creak faintly as it shifts with the water. Your guide gestures and you step in. The boat moves slowly, pushed by a pole, gliding through the marsh like a thought drifting towards sleep. Reeds lean in and out of the water, their tips brushing the surface with a sound like fingertips on silk. Somewhere a bird calls once, only once, and then returns to stillness. This is Eridu behind you now, low and quiet. Ahead, the riverland opens and you begin to travel. Not quickly, never quickly. As you drift, your guide tells you small things, only what your mind can hold without tightening. They tell you that long ago, people here learned to make marks that lasted. They pressed reeds into clay to form signs. They rolled seals across tablets to leave images. And in doing so, they found a way to give their days a shape. A life can feel safer when it has shape. The boat reaches firmer ground. You step out, and the landscape changes gently, like a slow dissolve in an old film. The marsh becomes fields. The fields become open plain. Far ahead, under the starlight, you see a raised form. Steps, terraces, a silhouette against the sky. A ziggurat. It is not lit like a monument. It is simply there, dark and steady like a mountain made by human hands. The wind moves across it and makes no argument. It just passes, whispering along the edges. Uruk, your guide says. And the name settles like a soft stone in water. You walk toward it along a path of packed earth. The air here is drier than the marsh. The night feels clear, clean, and high. When you touch the ziggurat's lower bricks, they are cool, as if they have been saving the night's calm inside themselves. In Uruk, the White Temple once stood above the plain, facing the sky. It was a place where the horizon could be seen in every direction, where the mind could feel small in a gentle way. And if your life has been heavy lately, that gentleness matters. The relief of realizing you do not have to hold everything alone. Your guide does not list kings or dates. They do not drag you into a crowded lecture. Instead, they bring you to a small room near the temple's side where a scribe sits at a low bench. The scribe is not dramatic. They are simply working. A lamp glows beside them, and its light is softer than the torches, more intimate. The scribe presses a stylus into clay, making wedge-shaped marks. Beside the tablet lies a cylinder seal, waiting. Your guide nods toward it. Watch, they whisper. The scribe finishes the last sign and sets the stylus down. Then, with the easy confidence of repetition, they take the seal and roll it across the clay. The image appears clean, continuous, calm, like a ribbon unspooling. You notice that the seal's picture is not just decoration. It is a story about place and order. Who stands where, who offers what, who sits, who receives. A city, too, needs stories like that, not because people are weak, but because minds rest better when the world feels arranged. Your guide lets you linger. And in that lingering, you begin to feel the deeper purpose of these symbols. They were a gentle architecture for the invisible. If you have ever made your bed before sleeping, even when no one will see it, you already understand. The night deepens. A faint breeze moves through the open doorway, carrying the smell of dust and distant water. Your guide leads you onward again, away from Uruk's high air toward a place that feels steadier, heavier, more grounded. The journey is slow. You pass fields asleep under starlight. You pass low villages where lamps flicker behind reed mat. You pass a line of trees where owls watch without moving. At last, you arrive at a city that feels like a heartbeat, regular, dependable. Nippur, your guide says. Here, the temple was called Ekur, a name that can feel like an anchor. The air carries the faint scent of metal, of worked bronze, of stone warmed by many seasons. Carved patterns swirl on doorframes, wind motifs, grain motifs, suggesting the repeating cycles people trusted. Inside the temple enclosure, there is a quiet storeroom, not a bureaucratic place of stress, but a calm chamber where objects rest. Wooden shelves, clay jars, bundles of cloth, a few small boxes, cedar, aromatic, protective. Your guide opens one box. Inside is another seal, this one lighter in color, perhaps made of a pale stone. But set beside it, wrapped in cloth, is a small ornament shaped like a rosette. It reminds you of a flower that never wilts, a memory of spring held in metal. Your guide lifts it carefully, and in the lamp's glow you see delicate petals, a center that catches light. The ornament seems to carry the same message as the seals: pattern, return, belonging. Somewhere in the distance, a drum sounds once, soft, muffled, and then stops. No ceremony explodes into noise, everything remains gentle. Your guide closes the box and looks at you. Now, they say, we follow the blue farther. We follow it beyond these river cities, beyond reed and brick, to the place where lapis begins as a sleeping vein inside stone. Not to wake you, only to lull you. They place the rosette back into its cloth, as if tucking it into bed. They set the seal beside it, as if making sure the small world is safe. Then they turn, and you turn with them, toward the dark edge of the city where the road becomes open night. Before you step onto that road, your guide pauses and invites just one ritual. They ask you to imagine placing a worry into a clay bowl, sealing it with your breath, and setting it on a shelf for the night. Here, no one rests alone. Every story from the past is a soft lantern in the dark, gently lighting our way tonight. If tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below. In the distance, you can almost hear it already. The slow rhythm of a caravan, the hush of sand, the patient creak of leather, a journey that moves at the speed of breath. The road out of Nippur does not feel like a road at first. It feels like a widening of silence. Behind you, the temple walls fade into night. Ahead, the plain stretches like a dark sheet, smoothed carefully over the earth. The stars remain calm and distant, as if they have all the time in the world, because they do. Your guide walks beside you, matching your pace without asking you to hurry. Their footsteps make a soft sound in the dust, and every few moments a reed of dry grass brushes your ankle like a gentle reminder to stay present. In the far distance, a low rhythm arrives, so faint you might mistake it for your own heartbeat. A creak, a pause, a creak again. Then the soft clink of something small like beads tapping once and settling. A caravan moving at night. Not a parade, not a march. Just people traveling the way people have always traveled when the day is too hot and the work is too heavy. By choosing the cool hours, the quieter hours, the hours when the sky itself seems to breathe slower, you reach the caravan without ceremony. There is no gate, no announcement, only a line of pack animals, their silhouettes broad and patient in the starlight. They stand with the stillness of creatures that understand endurance. Blankets are tied in careful bundles. Water skins hang at the side, dark and heavy. A lantern glows faintly, the flame protected behind a thin cover so it won't startle the night. A traveller notices you and lifts a hand in greeting. Their face is calm, not suspicious, not demanding, just another person awake under the same sky. Your guide speaks softly with them, and soon you are walking within the caravan's slow rhythm. Each step becomes a small wave. Each breath becomes a longer tide. The leader of the caravan does not talk much. Instead, they offer a cup, warm water with a hint of herbs maybe, or simply water that has tasted the leather skin for long hours. You sip, and the water feels like relief. Then you notice the sound again, a faint clink, steady, almost musical. Your guide nods toward a pouch tied to one of the bundles. "Stone," they whisper, "the blue stone." You don't reach for it, you don't need to. Just knowing it is there is enough. The caravan begins to move across the plain, and the landscape shifts in gentle layers. A low ridge appears, then dissolves behind you. A cluster of palms rises like a dark brushstroke and then drifts away. A canal glimmers, thin as a ribbon, and then the earth becomes dry again. Hours pass, but they do not feel sharp. Time tonight is not a clock. It is a corridor of air and starlight. If you've carried worries all day, you may notice them loosening now. Not because someone argues with them, but because the body understands rhythm. A steady pace tells the nervous system you are safe enough to soften. Your guide walks close and speaks only when it helps you settle. Lapis is a traveller, they say again, as if the phrase itself is a lullaby. It starts far away in mountains that hold winter in their bones. Then it crosses deserts, passes through hands, rests in pouches like this, and at last it becomes something small and intimate. A bead against a throat, a seal in a palm, a piece of night made solid. You imagine the stone before it was carved, rough, dusty, hidden in rock. You imagine the mountain too, not as a dramatic peak, but as a quiet old body of earth. Cold air sliding along its slopes, streams threading through stone, snow melting slowly, the way thoughts melt when you stop pressing them. The caravan stops before dawn, near a shallow hollow. No one speaks loudly. They move with the careful gentleness of people who know sleep is precious. A small fire is built, just enough to warm hands and soften bread. The flame makes a little circle of comfort, and beyond it, the darkness remains kind. Someone lays out a cloth and opens a pouch. Inside are small fragments of blue. Some are dull in the low light, like midnight seen through fog. But when the fire brightens, the stone catches it, and a deep color wakes, quietly, without flashing. Lapis often carries tiny specks of gold-colored pyrite, like a private constellation scattered through the blue. Your eyes rest on those specks and feel soothed, as if the sky has folded itself into your hands. The caravan leader smiles, seeing your attention. "Nightstone," they say simply, in a voice that sounds like sand and water. Your guide invites you to sit. The ground is cool, the air smells faintly of smoke and dry grass. Somewhere beyond the hollow, a bird begins to call, then stops, as if remembering it is still night. You watch as the stone is weighed in a palm, then wrapped again. No greed, no frantic counting, just care. And in that moment, Something inside you understands. Value can be gentle. A thing can be precious without making you tense. A thing can be rare without making you afraid to lose it. As dawn approaches, the caravan lies down in a loose circle. Blankets spread, heads rest on rolled cloth. A few people keep watch, not with alert panic, but with calm presence. Your guide sits beside you and speaks in the smallest voice. People imagine ancient life as loud and harsh, they say. But there were nights like this too. Nights when the world was only wind, stars, and the patient breath of animals. Nights when a person could feel held by the quiet order of traveling together. You look at the horizon, a faint line of lighter darkness appears, the first soft suggestion of morning. But before the sun comes, your guide offers you a different kind of sunrise, a memory, not yours, but one you can borrow. They tell you of a workshop in a river city where a lapis fragment was turned into a bead, a drill slow and careful, water to cool the stone, hands steady from practice. Then the bead threaded onto a cord, resting against someone's skin. A small blue comfort carried through the day. Later, as the sun climbs higher, the caravan takes another rest. Not a long one, just enough for shade to gather beneath a cloth awning. A pot is set on warm sand, and inside it water turns slowly, shimmering with heat. You sit where the shade is darkest, where the light feels filtered and forgiving. The air is dry, yet your breath stays easy, because no one expects you to perform here. No one asks you to be fast, you only need to be present. Your guide watches the horizon, then looks back to you. Busy minds, they say, often believe they must hold everything at once. But the caravan teaches a different lesson. We carry what we can. We set it down when the body asks. We pick it up again when the moment is right. They tap the side of a water skin, and the soft slosh inside sounds like a small, reassuring wave. If your day has been loud, they continue, let this be the quieter chapter. Let the tasks wait like folded cloth. Let the conversations rest like embers that have already done their work. A breeze passes through, lifting the edge of the awning. The cloth flutters once, then settles. One of the travelers takes out a tiny seal. Not lapis this time, but pale stone worn smooth. They press it into a lump of clay, roll it once, and show the imprint to a child. The child traces the image with a fingertip, slowly, as if reading with touch. No one scolds them for being slow. You see the pattern in the clay, two figures facing each other, a quiet space between them. A ring, a rod, simple shapes that say without words, balance, measure, belonging. And you realize something else. A seal is not only a mark, it is a pause, a moment when a hand stops before continuing. The caravan rises again and the long walk resumes. Footsteps press the sand and release it. Leather creaks. Metal rings on harnesses chime once, then go quiet. The repetition is soothing, like waves, like breath. In the far distance, heat shimmers above the ground, making the horizon look like water. And for a moment, it feels as if you are walking toward a mirage of calm, only to realize the calm is not ahead of you. It is already inside the rhythm you are keeping for you, right now. They tell you of another workshop where a seal was carved. The artisan studied the stone, found the best surface, traced the image in the mind first. Then the lines were cut, patiently, not to impress, but to endure. And finally, they tell you of a temple chest where lapis inlaid into gold was placed away after ceremony. Not hidden in fear, but stored like a lullaby, stored in memory. Because even beauty deserves a quiet shelf. As the caravan rises again, the sky brightens gently like a lamp turned low. The sun does not explode into the world. It arrives slowly, warming the edges of things. The desert ahead is wide and pale. The day will be long. But the caravan moves with confidence because it has moved this way before. Your guide looks back once, toward the direction of the river cities. "See," they say, "how the blue connects them. Mountains to deserts to marshes to temples, a thread of night traveling through human hands." Then they point ahead. "Soon," they whisper, "we will reach a place where the blue becomes not just stone, but symbol, a rod, a ring, a promise that balance can be measured in quiet ways." The caravan's pace returns, step, pause, step, and you find your own breath matching it without effort. The road continues and the world feels larger but not heavier. The caravan does not arrive with fanfare. It simply reaches the edge of a city the way a thought reaches the edge of sleep, quietly, naturally, as if it has always been on its way. Ahead, the land lowers toward the river. You feel the air change before you see the water. There is a faint coolness that slips under the heat. There is the scent of mud and reeds. There is the soft, distant chatter of birds that live where water and sky meet. Your guide slows, and the caravan slows with them. Pack animals breathe in long, patient waves. Leather straps creak and then fall silent. A lantern swings once and then steadies. Your guide whispers. Even the name sounds rounded, simple, like a syllable meant to be spoken softly. Sits close to the river's curve, where boats can come and go, and where the night wind carries both desert dust and marsh coolness in the same breath. You pass low walls of mud brick. You pass doorways hung with woven mats. Inside, lamps glow like small, private moons. A woman pours water into a bowl and the sound is gentle. A child leans against a threshold, half awake, watching the caravan as if watching a slow dream. No one shouts, no one demands an explanation. The city feels practiced in quiet. Your guide leads you away from the busiest lanes toward a place where the ground rises slightly. Here, the noise, what little there was, thins out even more. The stars look sharper above the open space and the air carries a faint smell of wood smoke that has already done its warming work. A low enclosure appears, made of brick and time. Not a fortress, not a place of fear. A place of careful remembrance. You are approaching what later people will call the Royal Cemetery of But tonight, you do not need the title. You only need the feeling, a hush, a respect, a tenderness for what remains. Your guide pauses at the entrance. They do not ask you to be solemn. They simply invite you to be soft. If it helps, imagine setting your thoughts down the way someone sets down a clay jar, slowly with both hands. Feel how the mind can loosen when it no longer has to grip. Inside the enclosure, the ground is packed and smooth. A few lamps burn behind sheltered walls, their flames low and steady. Shadows rest in corners like folded cloth. You can hear your own breathing again, clear and present. Your guide walks with you along a narrow path. On either side, there are openings, shallow spaces, places where people once lowered the dead with care. There is no horror here, only the quiet fact of time, only the way life leaves traces. And then your guide stops near a low room, half in shadow. They kneel and lift a wooden lid that smells faintly of cedar. Inside is cloth, layers of cloth, folded as if someone intended to return soon. The guide lifts the top layer, and something warm catches the lamplight. Gold, not harsh, not blinding. Gold softened by lamplight, gold that seems to glow from within rather than glare. Your guide reveals a headdress, delicate leaf-shaped pieces arranged like a small garden. Among the leaves, a rosette blossoms, and beside it, beads of lapis lazuli rest like drops of night. Pwabi, your guide says, and the name lands gently, like a familiar song you didn't know you remembered. Queen Pwabi lived long ago, and when her tomb was opened in the modern world, people found astonishing beauty resting beside her, wreaths of gold leaves, rosettes, strings of lapis and carnelian. Yet here, in this imagined night, the beauty is not a spectacle. It is a quiet companionship, a reminder that people once wanted their loved ones to be held by loveliness, even in stillness. Your guide lifts the headdress with both hands, the way you might lift a sleeping child. The gold leaves tremble slightly, not with drama, but with the delicate memory of movement. The rosette catches the light and then lets it go. "Look," the guide whispers, "how careful the work is, how patient the hands must have been." You lean closer and see tiny details, small hammered veins in each leaf, minute holes where beads were threaded, soft curves that feel more like plants than metal. The lapis beads are deep blue, and within them you can see tiny bright flecks like quiet stars. The whole piece feels like a night sky turned into a garden and turned into something that can rest on a human brow. Your guide lowers the headdress back onto the cloth. Then slowly they fold the cloth over it again. Even gold, they say, was allowed to sleep. It was brought out for sacred hours, for ceremonies, for moments of meaning, and then it was put away, returned to darkness, returned to rest. Something in your chest softens at that, because you know what it is to be on all day, to be shining, performing, enduring. And you know the relief of being allowed to be unseen, to be quiet, to be simply enough. The guide closes the cedar lid. The faint scent of the wood rises like a calm breath. Outside the room, the city's night continues. A dog sighs somewhere in the distance. A lamp flickers and steadies. The river moves in its own deep rhythm, unseen but felt. Your guide leads you onward through not to crowded streets, but to a small workshop near a courtyard. Here, a carver sits at a low bench. A bowl of water rests beside their knees. Their hands are dusty, but their movements are gentle. On the mat in front of them lies a cylinder seal. This one is not lapis, but a pale stone warmed by years of touch. The carver holds it up to a lamp and turns it slowly, letting the light skim the carved surface. You watch the way the carver's thumb moves along the stone, feeling the lines. It is the touch of someone reading, a slow reading, a reading with the skin. The carver presses the seal into a soft piece of clay and rolls it once. The image appears, continuous and calm, a seated figure, an attendant, a crown of horns rising in tears. And there, again, the rod and the ring, simple shapes repeated like a lullaby. Your guide steps closer and speaks softly, as if not to disturb the artisan's focus. In these small images, they say, people carried a whole way of understanding the world. A seal was not only a signature, it was a small theology, a tiny map of order. The word theology does not land heavy tonight, it lands light, like a feather on water. Because what your guide means is simple. The picture said, there is structure, there is balance, there is a place for each thing. The horned crown is part of that language. In Mesopotamian art, horns are not an animal threat. They are a symbol of the divine. And the tears, 1, 2, 3, many, are like visual music, climbing gently. More tears, higher status. Fewer tears, lower. A hierarchy shown without shouting. You imagine a tired mind, long ago, looking at such a crown and feeling relief. Not because power is comforting in itself, but because the world feels less frightening when it looks arranged. Your guide turns to you. Think of how you place things, they say. Keys by the door. A cup on the same shelf. A blanket folded the same way. It is not control. It is a small kindness to the nervous system. A quiet message. the world can be held. The carver hands the clay impression to a young apprentice. The apprentice looks at it with wide, calm eyes and then sets it carefully on a tray to dry. No one rushes. No one scolds. The room is filled with the slow trust of repetition. The guide invites you to look closer at the rod and ring. Many call it a symbol of measuring and binding, they whisper. A straight line, a circle, a reminder that justice, at its best, is balance. Not noise, not force. Balance. You picture the rod as a measuring stick, used quietly, used carefully. You picture the ring as a loop, a boundary, a promise that nothing spills too far. And you feel how soothing it is that such complex hopes, fairness, order, protection, could be held in simple shapes. For a moment, the world feels like geometry made gentle. The lamplight warms the clay, the carved lines sit still. Outside, the night wind moves along the wall and makes a soft sound, like breath through reeds. Your guide steps back from the workshop, and you follow. They lead you to a rooftop where the city lies below like a quiet field of shadows and lamps. The river is a dark ribbon reflecting a few stars. The ziggurat's outline rises at the edge of vision, steady as a sleeping animal. Your guide sits and you sit beside them. The roof is cool beneath you, the air is open, your shoulders feel lower than they did. If time were a long corridor, your guide murmurs, perhaps we don't always need to walk it. Perhaps sometimes we can simply breathe in it. They let the words fade, and for a while you both listen. A distant temple drum sounds once, softly, and then stops. A bird shifts in a palm tree, a lamp is extinguished somewhere below, and the darkness grows kinder. Your guide finally speaks again. Tomorrow, they whisper. We will go inside the temple chest. We will watch how symbols are dressed and undressed, how beauty is taken out and then tucked away, and how, in that quiet practice, people learned something you can learn tonight, that the weight you carry is not meant to stay on your shoulders forever. The stars keep their calm positions. The river keeps its slow, moving breath. And you feel the anticipation, soft, safe, steady, like a door opening to a warmer room. The next evening arrives the way a soft blanket arrives, without drama, without demand. It simply settles over the city, dimming the edges of streets and smoothing the sharpness of the day. In Ur, the air cools gently after sunset. You can smell the river even from the higher ground, a faint dampness braided with smoke from small cooking fires. Lamps glow behind woven door curtains. Somewhere, a pot is set down and the clay makes a dull, comforting sound like a heartbeat against the floor. Your guide meets you at the foot of a quiet stairway. They do not greet you with excitement. They greet you the way someone greets a tired friend, by lowering their voice. Come, they whisper. Tonight we do not chase anything. We simply watch how people once made the world feel safe enough to sleep. You climb slowly. The steps are wide, worn smooth by feet that came before you. Each step feels like a small letting go. At the top, you enter a temple enclosure where the wind moves softly between walls. Torches are lit, but their flames are kept low, protected in niches, so the light is warm rather than sharp. Gold does not shout here. It glows. Stone does not threaten. It steadies. Your guide leads you into a room that smells faintly of cedar and clean cloth. A long chest rests against the wall. Its lid is heavy, but the hands open it with ease. Inside, folded linens lie like pale clouds. Under the linens, small boxes nest like quiet birds. A temple attendant, an older person with patient eyes, lifts a box and sets it on a mat. They untie the cord slowly, as if untying a worry. Inside is a necklace, tiny beads of lapis, cool blue in the torchlight, alternating with soft gold and warm stone. They hold it, listening. Another box holds rosettes, each one a little flower made of metal. Another holds rings, bands, and small plaques, pressed with patterns that repeat like a lullaby. Everything is arranged, everything has a place. Your guide leans close enough for you to hear the quietest part of their voice. "Do you see," they say, "how the temple stores beauty like you store calm? Not scattered, not frantic, folded, placed, returned." Across the room, a statue stands in shadow. It is not a god that demands your fear. It is a shape that invites steadiness. Its face is still, neither smiling nor frowning, like a calm lake at night. At the statue's feet, a shallow basin of water reflects the torchlight in trembling gold. The attendants begin their ritual, not with loud chanting, but with small actions. A cloth is lifted, a shoulder is covered, a collar is adjusted. Each movement is slow enough that your mind can follow without strain. The necklace is brought forward, the lapis beads catch the light and then deepen into blue again, as if they are breathing in and out. The attendant lays the beads against the statue's chest. The cord is secured, then the hands withdraw, leaving the necklace to rest. For a moment, you feel something tender in the gesture. The necklace is not there to impress anyone. It is there to make the sacred hour feel complete, and then, later, it will be removed and put away again. Your guide murmurs, "Even the divine was dressed only for a time." You watch the attendants place a rosette at the statue's shoulder. A small flower of gold settles into the cloth, still asleep. Then a crown is lifted from its box. It is not massive. It is carefully balanced, made of layered elements that rise in gentle tiers. Along the band, horn shapes curve outward, repeating, repeating, repeating. The horned crown is a language. It does not need to be translated into argument. It says, quietly, "This is not ordinary. This is a threshold between worlds." The attendants set the crown on the statue's head with 2 hands. They pause, not to dramatize, but to respect the stillness. Then they step back. Your guide invites you to notice your own body. Not in a demanding way, just like someone turning down a lamp. Feel your shoulders. If they are raised, let them fall a little. Feel your hands. If they are clenched, let the fingers soften. Feel your breath. Let it become longer without forcing it. In the temple room, the symbol of order stands dressed in order, and something in your nervous system recognizes the pattern. A world arranged is a world less frightening. Near the statue's side, an attendant brings a small object on a tray. It is simple, a straight rod and a ring. No jewels, no complex carving, just 2 forms, clean and calm. The attendant lifts them as if lifting tools for gentle work. They place them into the statue's hands, rod in one hand, ring in the other. Your guide whispers, "Measure and bond, line and circle," a promise that balance can be held. The shapes rest there, quiet as moonlight on water. And in that quiet, the meaning arrives without effort. Justice, at its best, is not loud. It does not need to shout to be real. It needs to be steady. It needs to be measured. It needs to return things to their place. Outside, the wind moves along the wall like a long exhale. You begin to understand why these images appeared on seals again and again. A seal rolled across clay was not only an identification, it was a little reassurance pressed into daily life. It said, there is a way, there is a pattern, there is a center. Your guide turns your attention back to the chest of stored ornaments. Notice, they say, how everything comes out for the sacred hour and then returns to rest. The ornaments do not live in constant light. They do not carry constant weight. They are allowed to be put away. The words settle in you like warm tea, because perhaps you too have been living in constant light, constant weight, constant readiness. The attendants stand in a small half circle. One of them takes a pinch of incense and places it on a coal. The smoke rises slowly, not thick, not choking, just a thin ribbon of scent. Cedar, resin, something like dry sweetness. The room feels more distant from the day, more protected, more like a place built for slowing down. Your guide speaks again, and this time their voice is almost like a thought you might have in the moments before sleep. When your life feels chaotic, they say, you can borrow this, not the gold, not the crown, but the rhythm, a small ritual, a gentle order. They gesture toward the basin of water. A wash of hands, a dimming of light, a folding of cloth, a placing of worries in a safe place for the night. If it helps, imagine doing that now. Imagine a clay bowl on a shelf. Imagine placing one worry into it, only one. Then imagine covering it with a piece of linen, soft and pale, and letting it rest until morning. Your guide sits with you in silence for a few breaths, letting the temple do its quiet work. Then, without hurry, the attendants begin the closing. The rod and ring are lifted away first, placed back onto the tray, carried to a box. The lid closes with a soft wooden sigh. The crown is removed with 2 hands. The horned tears catch torchlight and then lose it. The crown is set onto folded cloth, and the cloth is wrapped around it like a goodnight. The rosettes come next. Each small flower is lifted one by one, as if the attendants are collecting the last petals of evening. They place them in their box. They tie the cord. They knot it gently. The necklace of lapis is removed last. The beads slide softly against cloth, making a sound like rain on reeds. Blue disappears into the box, not as a loss, but as a return to darkness, a return to rest. The statue stands again as it began, undressed, quiet, steady. No dramatic emptiness, only stillness. Your guide watches the final lid close, and that, they whisper, is the lesson the city forgot and remembered again and again. What is sacred is not what is carried forever. What is sacred is what you can put down, and trust will still be there when you return. The torchlight seems softer now. The air seems thicker with calm. Your guide leads you back out into the courtyard. Above, the sky is wide and unchanged. Stars hold their positions with patient faith. A few steps away, a scribe sits with a tablet. They press marks into clay, slow and sure. When they finish, they take a seal and roll it once. The image appears like a ribbon, continuous, calm, a seated figure, an attendant, a horned crown, rod and ring. You can almost feel the city breathing through the repetition. Your guide turns to you with a question that does not demand an answer. If time were a long corridor, they ask softly, what if the gentlest way through it is not to run, but to return? Return to the same calm actions, return to the same quiet places, return to breath. They pause, and the night fills the pause. If tonight's story touched a memory, your guide adds, you can share it when you feel ready. Here, no one rests alone. Every old symbol is just a small lantern, helping us find the softer path. In the distance, the river glints like a thin line of sleeping light. Beyond it, the marsh waits. And your guide's gaze drifts south toward Eridu. Next, they whisper, we go back to the water beneath the world, back to the cool blue that began this journey. And there, in the quiet, we'll learn what the smallest seal was really trying to say. They let the words fade, and the air seems to hold them like a lullaby. The walk back toward Eridu feels like returning to a familiar room in your own mind. You and your guide leave behind in the most gentle way possible, not with a farewell, not with a big closing line, but with a slow turning of footsteps. The city's lamps grow fewer, the air becomes more open, the river's scent threads through the night like a cool ribbon. A thin moon hangs over the plain, pale and calm, and the wind carries the smallest sounds. A reed tapping once against another reed, a distant dog settling down, the soft hush of water sliding along the bank. Even the stars seem quieter, as if they too are listening. Your guide walks beside you with the unhurried patience of someone who has spent many nights on old roads. In their hand, they carry the lapis seal again, wrapped in cloth. The cloth is plain, but clean, folded with care, tied with a simple cord. Tonight, your guide says, we go back to where the story began. Not to start over, but to deepen. Like a breath that goes a little lower each time. You follow the road south, the land changes slowly like a long, slow dissolve between scenes. Dry ground becomes damp, dust gives way to the darker scent of mud, the air cools as marshland begins to breathe. Soon you see the first reeds, their tips moving like soft fingers in the night wind. Then you hear the water, not crashing, not dramatic, but steady. Quiet water, doing its work without asking to be admired. Eridu appears as a low outline ahead, near the edge of marsh and canal. There are no towers that stab the sky. There is only the gentle geometry of walls, the resting shape of roofs, the faint glow of lamps behind woven mats. You enter the city as if entering a dream that already knows your name. A narrow canal runs between houses. In the dim light, it looks almost black, but when a lamp flickers, you catch a brief silver sheen on the surface. The water carries reflections the way your mind carries impressions, softly, without insisting. Your guide leads you toward a temple enclosure, smaller than the grand heights of Uruk, steadier than the busy lanes of Ur. Here, the air feels like it holds coolness in its bones. The walls are made of mud brick, but the night makes them feel like stone. Inside the courtyard, a basin waits. The water within it is still. A torch burns in a niche, and the light on the water looks like a small, trembling sun. Enki, your guide murmurs, the one who listens beneath. They dip their fingers into the basin and lift them out. Droplets fall back with tiny, patient sounds, plip, 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 like punctuation for silence. You stand beside them and feel, in your own body, how the presence of water can soften the mind. You might even notice your forehead smoothing, your shoulders lowering, your breath lengthening. Your guide unwraps the lapis seal. The blue emerges slowly, deep as midnight, and in the torchlight you see the flecks inside it, small golden sparks like a private constellation. It is as if the stone contains both night and lantern at once. Where did it come from? Your guide asks softly, not expecting a factual answer, only inviting your imagination. You picture a mountain far away, cold air, hard stone, the slow patience of geology. You picture hands carrying fragments of blue across deserts, stopping at wells, resting under stars, arriving at river cities where the air smells of clay and reeds. And why did it matter? Your guide continues. Why did people hold it close? They place the seal in your palm again. It is cool, grounding. You feel the carved ridges under your fingertips. You could roll it in clay, yes, but you could also simply hold it and let it teach you stillness. In the temple, an attendant appears, an ordinary person with quiet eyes. They carry a small tray of damp clay tablets. The clay is soft and smooth, ready to receive marks, a scribe follows, holding a stylus made of reed. The scribe does not look hurried. They sit, breathe, and begin. They press the stylus into clay, leaving wedge-shaped impressions. The marks line up like footsteps, each one placed with intention. When the writing is complete, the scribe reaches for the cylinder seal. Your guide nods. "Watch the moment of rolling," they whisper. "It's like a door, closing gently." The scribe sets the seal at the edge of the tablet and rolls it once, steadily. The image appears in a continuous band. Figures, a throne, a crown rising in horned tiers, and the familiar rod and ring. No sound of triumph, just the soft rasp of stone on clay, and then the quiet certainty of a picture that repeats the same calm message. Your guide explains in the simplest way. This was a signature, yes, but it was also a small story about order. People could look at it and feel, the world has shape. You notice how the picture is arranged. The seated figure is central, not because they shout, but because the lines lead your eyes there. Attendants stand in positions that feel balanced. Even the empty spaces seem intentional, like pauses in music. And the crown, those gentle tiers of horns, feels less like power and more like a map. A visual ladder that says, without argument, there are levels, there is structure, there is a place for each thing. Your guide turns to you. Sometimes, when life feels too big, the mind searches for structure. It's not weakness, it's a need for steadiness. They let the thoughts sit like a stone at the bottom of a bowl. Then they gesture toward another object in the room, a small wooden box tied with cord. The attendant unties it and opens the lid. Inside lies a simple pair of objects, one rod, one ring. The ring is smooth, the rod is straight. They look almost like tools for a gentle craft. The attendant lifts them and holds them in the torchlight. Then, in a quiet ritual, they place them into the hands of a statue nearby. Rod in one hand, ring in the other. Your guide speaks softly. A line and a circle, a measure and a bond, a way of saying that fairness is not a shout, it's a balance you can return to. You imagine those shapes in your own life, a line that helps you set a boundary, a circle that helps you feel held, a measure that keeps you from giving too much, a bond that keeps you from feeling alone. The ritual continues with small, steady actions, cloth adjusted on the statue's shoulders, a necklace placed and then checked, a rosette set at the collar. Lapis beads rest against fabric, blue against pale linen, like night resting against cloud. And then, this is the gentle part, you see the attendants pause as if listening to the room, not to impress anyone, not to display, simply to inhabit the sacred hour and then to let it pass. Your guide whispers, beauty was not meant to be carried forever. It was meant to be brought out, witnessed, and then returned to rest. What that sentence settles inside you like a warm hand on the back. If you have been carrying too much, you might feel something loosen, the idea that even gold, even symbols, even sacred objects had an off switch. They could be put away. They could sleep. The attendants begin to reverse the ritual. They remove the rosette, wrap it in cloth. They lift the necklace, let the beads slide softly with a sound like rain on reeds. They take the crown down with two hands, careful, respectful, unhurried. Finally, they take the rod and ring and place them back into their box. The lid closes with a wooden sigh. The statue remains quiet and undressed, as steady as the night itself. Your guide leads you out into the courtyard again. The basin of water reflects the stars now, faintly. The torchlight flickers lower, as if it too is becoming sleepy. Your guide sits beside the basin and invites you to sit. For a few breaths, you simply listen. Water, wind, the far hush of reeds. Your body recognizes the rhythm. Your breath lengthens without effort. Then your guide asks a question in the gentlest tone. If time were a long corridor, they say, what if the safest way through is not to rush, but to arrange small things? One cloth folded, one light dimmed, one worry set down. They lift the lapis seal and hold it above the basin. The blue reflects faintly in the water, making a second, softer blue beneath it. Enki's water, your guide whispers again. The idea that beneath the surface, something calm continues. They lower the seal, not into the water, but close enough that the coolness rises around it. The torchlight touches the stone, and the gold flecks inside it look like stars, seen through a thin veil. In the end, your guide says, the seal's picture is not a command, it's a lullaby. It says, everything has a place, and when everything has a place, the heart can rest. You let the words settle, you let the night settle, you let your shoulders fall a little more. If you wish, let your eyelids grow heavier now. Somewhere in the city, a lamp goes out. The darkness does not feel like loss, it feels like permission. Your guide places the seal back into its cloth and ties the cord slowly, as if tying up the day. Next, they whisper, we will follow the image deeper. We will look at the horned crown tier by tier, not as power, but as comfort. And we will find the soft truth hidden in repetition. That order can be a kindness. They pause and their voice becomes almost like breath. Until then, let the water beneath the world hold you. Let the blue be your night. Let the quiet be enough. In the temple courtyard of Eridu, the night remains patient. It does not rush you toward meaning. It simply offers you a place to rest your attention, the way water offers a surface for moonlight. Your guide keeps their voice low, as if they are speaking to the part of you that is already halfway asleep. They sit beside the basin, and you sit too, the cool brick under you steady and reliable. Above, the stars look like tiny pinholes in a dark cloth, and somewhere beyond the wall, the reeds whisper in slow agreement. After a while, an attendant returns. Not with urgency, but with the calm certainty of routine. They carry a small box wrapped in linen, and the linen is tied with a cord that has been handled many times. The cord is not decorative, it is practical. It is the kind of simple thing that becomes comforting because it repeats. The attendant kneels, unties the cord, and folds back the linen. Inside the box, cushioned by cloth, is a crown. It is smaller than you expect. It is not a heavy helmet. It is not a sharp weapon. It is a circle made to rest on a head, balanced and careful, as if it was designed with kindness in mind. And along its rim, rising in gentle levels, are horns. Not wild horns, not aggressive horns. They curve outward and upward in a repeating pattern, like waves turned into shape. Some are higher than others, some are lower. Together they create tiers, the way steps create a staircase. Your guide watches your eyes settle on the pattern. Then they speak, soft as breath. Long ago, they say, people used this shape to say something very simple. They wanted the world to feel arranged. The attendant lifts the crown with 2 hands. The metal catches torchlight and turns warm, as if it remembers the sun. Then the attendant turns it slightly, and you see how the horns are not placed randomly. They are measured, they repeat, they make a rhythm you can almost count with your eyes. One, and then another, and then another. Your guide leans closer, as if telling you a secret you already know. The more tears, they whisper, the higher the being in their stories. Not because the being shouted louder, but because the image needed a way to show distance. Distance between ordinary life and the sacred. Distance that could be understood without words. You let that sink in, your mind does not have to argue with it. You can simply notice how the body reacts. A small relief maybe, because even when life is complicated, the brain likes a pattern it can recognize. If you want, take a slow breath in now, and as you breathe out, imagine the exhale making a little more space inside your chest. The attendant carries the crown toward an inner room. Your guide stands and gestures for you to follow. You move quietly through a doorway, and the air shifts. Inside, it is cooler, more sheltered. Torchlight is softer here, reflected from pale plaster and polished stone. In the center of the room is a work table. On it lies a strip of metal tools arranged neatly beside it. A small hammer, a smooth stone for pressing, a tiny chisel. Everything has its place, nothing is scattered. An artisan sits at the table, their hair is tied back, their hands are steady. They look up briefly, then return to their work as if welcoming you without needing conversation. The artisan is shaping a new crown, not for spectacle, not for vanity, but for ritual, an object that will appear for an hour, then sleep in a box again. The artisan touches the metal strip with fingertips, testing its curve. Then with careful taps, they begin to raise a small horn shape from the rim. Tap, tap, tap. The sound is not loud, it is gentle, like rain on hard ground. Each tap is a decision. Each tap makes the shape a little clearer. Your guide watches with you, then speaks in the same quiet tone. Think of it, they say, as a visual lullaby. The horns are like notes, the tears are like verses. When someone sees it, their mind understands. There is order. The artisan pauses to dip fingers into a bowl of water. They wipe the metal, clean it, and continue. Slow work, patient work, work that does not demand applause. You notice how soothing it is to watch someone do something carefully. It pulls you out of the frantic part of the mind and into the steady part. The part that knows, one thing at a time, is enough. The artisan finishes one horn and begins another. They keep the spacing even, as if listening to an invisible metronome. Your guide whispers, "Some nights you might do this with your own life. Not with gold, with small things. Put a cup in the same place, fold a shirt the same way, make your bed slowly. These are tiny crowns of order." You smile inside, barely, because you understand. The crown is not only an ancient object, it is a metaphor that fits in modern hands. The attendant places the finished crown from the box on the table for a moment. The artisan compares it with the one being made, checking the tiers, aligning the pattern. No numbers are spoken aloud, no measurements are announced. The work is guided by the eye, by habit, by the quiet intelligence of repetition. Your guide continues. People sometimes misunderstand the horned crown. They think it is about intimidation. But in these rooms, it was more like reassurance, a symbol that said the cosmos has steps. The steps do not change suddenly, the steps hold. You glance at the crown again. The tears rise gently. They do not spike, they do not stab. They climb the way dawn climbs, slowly, without shock. And something inside you softens further. If you have felt lately as if life changes too quickly, as if the ground shifts under you, you can feel why this image mattered. It promised stability. It promised that the world had levels and that the levels could be known. The artisan lifts the crown you first saw, turns it toward the torchlight, and points to the tiers with a small tool. They are not lecturing, they are simply showing. The lowest tier is modest, the next tier is more pronounced. Above that, another. Each level adds a little more height, a little more complexity, a little more presence. Your guide murmurs, like steps on a ziggurat. People climbed those steps to feel closer to the sky. but the climb was slow. It was meant to slow the mind. Outside in the courtyard, water continues to reflect the torch. Inside, the metal reflects the same flame. Light repeats itself in different materials, and repetition begins to feel like safety. The artisan sets the crown down. Then, from a smaller box, they bring out a cylinder seal, lapis. Your guide's eyes soften at the familiar blue. The artisan presses the seal into clay and rolls it. The image appears again. A crowned figure, horns tiered like quiet steps. Your guide says, "Do you see how the seal repeats the crown?" It's the same language carried into daily life. A merchant rolling a seal could feel for a moment that the world was held. You think of your own daily life, emails, schedules, messages, lists, small tasks that can feel endless. And you notice a different possibility, that a small ritual can turn daily life into something calmer. Your guide speaks slowly, leaving space between words. "Tonight," they say, "you don't need to solve the world. You only need one steady pattern, one breath, one soft return." The artisan smooths the clay and rolls again, as if the motion itself is soothing, a continuous band, a picture with no sudden cuts, a story that loops. Your mind follows the loop, and the loop becomes a lullaby. Then the attendant returns to the crown. They lift it, place it into the linen, fold the cloth over it, and tie the cord. The knot is simple. The gesture is tender. Everything returns, your guide whispers, even symbols, even sacred things. And if they can return to rest, so can you. They lead you back into the courtyard. The basin reflects a star. The torchlight is lower now, calmer. Your guide sits again, and you sit beside them. "If time were a long corridor," your guide asks gently, "what if you could choose a corridor with handrails? Not to restrict you, but to steady you. A pattern you can hold in the dark." They let the question drift. They do not demand an answer. The night wind moves through reeds, water shifts softly, your breath slows. Your breath. Perhaps you've felt this before in an ordinary place, a stairwell in a quiet apartment building, late at night. When the hallway lights are low and steady, you place one foot, then the other, and the rail is cool under your palm. Nothing surprising happens. The steps do not change shape. The air smells faintly of clean concrete and distant laundry soap. In that predictability, the mind stops scanning for danger. Ancient steps, modern steps, both can teach the same gentle truth. Consistency is a shelter for the tired heart. Here, under the reeds and torchlight, the horned tears do the same, guiding the eye upward, gently, again tonight. Your guide's voice becomes almost a whisper of reassurance. The crown's tears were a promise, they say. A promise that chaos could be shaped into steps, and steps can be climbed slowly, one breath at a time. They pause and the silence feels friendly. Next, they add yell, we will follow the rod and ring more closely. We will see how the simplest shapes can carry the deepest calm, and how, in quiet balance, the mind learns to loosen. The stars remain, the water remains, and you feel yourself drifting, held by repetition, held by gentle order, held by the night, and safely held. The temple in Eridu becomes quieter as the hour deepens. Somewhere beyond the walls, a lamp goes out, then another, as if the city is slowly closing its eyes. In the courtyard, the basin of water holds a small reflection of the sky. The torch in its niche burns lower now, its flame steady and sleepy, like a candle nearing the end of its work. Your guide sits beside you and does not speak for a while, allowing the silence to do what it does best: soften. When they finally move, it is with the gentleness of someone adjusting a blanket. They reach into the cloth bundle where the lapis seal rests, but they do not take it out. Instead, they lift a small wooden box and set it on the ground between you. The box is plain, no jewels, no carvings meant to impress. Just wood, smooth from handling, tied with a cord that has been tightened and loosened so many times it almost feels familiar. Your guide unties the cord slowly. Not for drama, only for care. Inside, cushioned by folded linen, lie two objects, a rod and a ring. The ring is round, smooth, unbroken. The rod is straight, simple, clean. They look almost too plain to carry meaning. And yet your body responds to them before your mind does. Something about their simplicity is calming, like a room with uncluttered surfaces, like a sky without storms. Your guide lifts the ring first and holds it in the torchlight. Do you feel it? They whisper. The comfort of a circle. You imagine a circle drawn on clay. It has no sharp corners, it has no sudden ending. It returns to itself, always. A circle is the shape of a cup rim, a bowl, a cradle, a wedding band, a halo of light around the moon. A circle can mean belonging. Your guide sets the ring down gently on the linen and lifts the rod. Now the line, they whisper, the comfort of a straight path. You imagine a line drawn in sand. It points, it measures, it keeps things from drifting too far. It is the edge of a table, the spine of a book. A ruler laid carefully between 2 points. A line can mean boundary. Your guide places the rod beside the ring, and the two shapes together feel like a small, quiet language. Many have tried to translate this, your guide says softly, into big arguments. But we don't need big arguments tonight. We only need the feeling. They look at you with calm attention. When life becomes loud, they continue, our minds become scattered. We feel pulled in many directions, and then, without even realizing it, we long for two things, a boundary and a belonging. They tap the rod lightly, barely making a sound. Boundary. They touch the ring with one finger. Belonging. The night air moves through the courtyard, and you can smell water and clay and faint smoke. The scent is old, but it feels timeless. Your guide lifts the rod and ring again and gestures toward the temple's inner room. Come, they whisper, let's watch how these shapes were given to the world. You follow them inside. The room is cooler. Torchlight warms the walls in gentle gradients. A statue stands in shadow, not demanding, just present. It is the kind of presence you might feel in an old library late at night. Quiet shelves, steady air, the sense that knowledge can be soft. An attendant enters and bows their head slightly, then moves with careful steps toward the statue. They bring a tray. They bring cloth. They bring, again, the small box. Your guide stays close to you, speaking like a lullaby. This, they whisper, was not a symbol meant to scare. It was meant to remind people that fairness can be quiet. The attendant opens the box, lifts the rod and ring, and places them into the statue's hands. The gesture is slow enough that you can feel each moment. Rod, pause, ring, pause. The objects rest there, still as moonlight on water. In that stillness, your guide offers you a small thought, like a warm stone placed in your palm. Imagine, they say, a city of clay and reeds with storms, floods, droughts, sickness, loss. Imagine how fragile life could feel. Now imagine how soothing it would be to believe there is a measure, a balance, a line that keeps the world from falling apart. Your guide does not mention politics. They do not mention modern institutions. They keep the idea human and gentle, people wanting to feel safe. The attendant adjusts the statue's garment, then steps back. The torchlight makes the rod gleam faintly. The ring glows softly, its curve catching light and returning it. your mind begins to settle into the shapes. A line, you can set something down. A circle, you are still held. Your guide turns to you. If time were a long corridor, they ask quietly, would you rather walk it with walls that press in, or with a handrail that steadies you? Again, you don't need to answer. You can simply let the question drift through the room like incense smoke. The ritual pauses as if the temple itself is listening. Outside, the reeds whisper, water moves, the world continues without asking you to manage it. Your guide continues. People rolled these symbols onto clay because they wanted the feeling to enter daily life. Not just sacred life, daily life. They gesture, and the scene shifts in your imagination, softly, like a slow dissolve. You are now in a small storeroom. Jars of grain rest in rows. Oil pots sit on shelves. Bundles of cloth are stacked neatly. A clerk sits with a tablet, writing with a reed stylus. The clerk finishes, then takes a cylinder seal and rolls it across the clay. The image appears, a figure holding rod and ring. The clerk exhales. They set the tablet aside. The seal returns to a pouch. The jar is closed. Everything is accounted for. That phrase, accounted for, does not feel stressful tonight. It feels like comfort, like making sure the stove is off before bed, like checking the door lock once, gently, and then letting it be. Your guide brings you back to the temple room. See, they whisper, how the simplest shapes can carry the deepest reassurance, a line and a circle, measure and bond, boundary and belonging. They pause, and the most gentle discovery, they add, is that you can use these shapes too, without stone, without gold. They invite you to imagine it in your own night. A line, the moment you stop scrolling. The moment you say, enough for today. The moment you dim the lamp. A circle, the blanket around your legs, the bed that holds you, the steady rhythm of breath returning again and again. In the temple, the attendant begins to close the ritual. They lift the rod and ring away. They place them back into the linen. They close the lid. They tie the cord. The tying is slow, careful, almost tender. Your guide watches the knot tighten, then speaks as if speaking to your tired mind directly. You are allowed, they whisper, to take off your symbols too, your responsibilities, your roles, your many little crowns. You can put them away for the night. The words feel like permission. Outside, the torch crackles softly once, then steadies. The basin of water reflects the flame in a small, trembling circle. Your guide leads you back into the courtyard. The air is cool. The stars are steady. The reeds move like slow waves. They sit beside the basin again, and you sit. For a moment, you simply breathe. Then your guide speaks one more thought, soft and sure. The rod and ring were not only ancient symbols, they say, they were a practice, a reminder that calm is not an accident, it can be arranged. They look at the water, and like water, they add, calm returns when you stop stirring it. A long pause follows, filled with night sounds so gentle they feel like silence. Then your guide says, next, we will return to the cylinder seal itself, how it carried entire worlds in a palm, and how those worlds were designed to soothe rather than shock. They smile faintly, and the smile is quiet. If tonight's story brought you a beautiful memory, they whisper, feel free to share it below, only when you're ready. Here, no one rests alone. Every story from the past is a soft lantern in the dark, gently lighting our way tonight. The torch burns low, the water reflects a star, and you feel the line and circle inside you now, boundary and belonging, steady and quiet, as the night gently holds you. Night in Eridu does not end, it only changes texture. The torches outside the temple have grown smaller, as if they are learning to whisper. The courtyard stones feel cooler now, and the basin holds a darker reflection, less flame, more sky. Your guide rises with you in a slow, unhurried motion, and for a moment you simply stand and listen. Water shifting gently, reeds brushing one another, the faint sigh of a city settling into sleep. "Come," your guide says, "before the night becomes too deep for images." They lead you through a side doorway into a passage where the air is still and cool. The walls are plain mud brick, but the torchlight paints them with gentle gradients, turning clay into something almost velvety. Your footsteps are quiet here, quiet. Even your thoughts seem quieter, as if the corridor itself is asking them to lower their voices. At the end of the passage, another door opens onto a room that feels like a small museum, though no one calls it that. It is simply a place where objects rest and wait. Shelves line the walls. On the shelves sit clay tablets, bowls, little boxes of wood, and several cylinder seals laid in rows, each one small enough to disappear in a closed fist. A single lamp burns on a low table, and its light is warm and steady, the kind that doesn't demand attention but quietly earns it. An older attendant is here, moving slowly, like a person walking around sleeping children. They nod to your guide and say nothing, as if words might disturb the calm that has been carefully arranged. Your guide gestures toward the table. "Tonight," they whisper, "we walk down the corridor of clay." On the table lies a shallow tray filled with soft, damp clay. Beside it rests a sponge, a small bowl of water, and a piece of linen folded neatly into a square. The scene is so orderly it makes your shoulders loosen. Your guide picks up a cylinder seal and places it in your hand. This one is not lapis, but a stone the color of sand after rain, pale, gentle, slightly warm. Its surface is smooth from years of touch, and the carved lines feel like tiny paths under your fingertips. "Notice how it fits," your guide says, "like it was made to be carried without strain." You turn it slowly, letting the lamp's light skim along the carvings. You can't see the whole picture at once. You can only sense it in fragments, a curve, a figure, a small symbol, a borderline that repeats. The attendant moistens the clay with a few drops of water and smooths it with the sponge until it looks like a quiet lake. Your guide places the seal at the edge of the clay and rolls it with a steady hand. The motion is simple. One smooth turn, no rush, and then the image appears as a continuous band, like a ribbon laid gently on the surface, a seated figure, an attendant, a crown that rises in soft tears, a small ring, a straight rod, and between the figures, the kind of empty space that feels deliberate, room for breath. Your guide leans in close enough for you to hear the smallest warmth in their voice. "Do you see? Even the emptiness is part of the design. The carver gave the eye a place to rest." You watch the pattern with a mind that doesn't need to solve. The scene is clear enough to feel, but not so busy that it pulls you into tension. It is like a lullaby in visual form, repetition, balance, calm. The attendant lifts the clay carefully, sets it on a shelf to dry, and places a fresh piece of clay on the tray. The ritual repeats, but repetition here is not boring. It is soothing, like the second and third deep breath you take after a long day. Your guide selects another seal, darker this time, with a faint, bluish tone that reminds you of evening shadows. They let you hold it for a while before rolling it, as if they know your hands are part of the story. This seal, when rolled, reveals a different scene. A boat gliding through reeds, a figure standing with a pole, water drawn in gentle lines beneath. Above, a small star or rosette hangs like a quiet blessing. Your guide smiles softly. "Not every seal is about thrones," they whisper. Some are about the world people actually moved through: water, boats, fields, the small labors that keep life steady. You feel a small relief at that, as if the ancient world is stepping closer to you, becoming less distant and more human. The older attendant brings a third seal. This one is lapis. The blue is deep, almost black at the edges, and when the lamp touches it, tiny gold specks wake like a private sky. Your guide does not roll it immediately. They place it in your palm, and you feel its cool weight. It is not heavy in a tiring way. It is grounding, like a smooth stone you might keep in your pocket just to remember you are real. Lapis, your guide says, is a mountain brought into the marsh, a far place held in a near hand. Then the lapis seal rolls. The image is more elaborate, still calm, still balanced, but richer with detail. A figure seated beneath a horned crown. A second figure approaching with a gift. The rod and ring held in a quiet, steady gesture. And along the border, a repeating motif like waves or braided rope, looping without beginning or end. The attendant sets the fresh impression aside, and your guide draws your attention to a single part of the image. The horned crown, they whisper, is the stepladder of meaning. But it does not ask you to climb quickly. It simply shows that some things are higher, some lower, and that the ladder itself is stable. You nod, not with understanding that needs proof, but with the kind of understanding that feels like your chest is unclenching. Your guide lifts the rod and ring box from earlier and places it near the clay impression. Now look, they say. The seal repeats what the ritual performs. The ritual performs what the city hopes. They pause, letting the idea settle. This, they continue, is the soft discovery. The seal is not just an object. It is a practice. Every time it rolls, it teaches the hand to move steadily, and it teaches the mind to believe in steadiness. You watch the attendant roll another seal, then another. Each time, the motion is the same. The result is slightly different, but always balanced. You begin to feel as if you are walking down a long hallway where each doorway opens onto a small, peaceful scene. Your guide speaks again, softly. People think history is built from battles and names, they say, but a city is also built from calm gestures, rolling a seal, folding linen, placing things back. They look at you. Your day is made of gestures too, closing a laptop, washing a cup, checking a door. Done slowly, they can soothe. The room remains quiet enough that you can hear the lamp flame's tiny breath. Your guide invites you to choose one seal from the shelf. You select a small one, plain and pale, almost modest. The carvings are shallow, as if worn by years of use. Your guide places fresh clay on the tray and hands the seal to you. Roll it, they whisper, as slowly as you can. You set the seal at the edge and push gently. It turns, steady, leaving its image behind. The motion is simple, but it makes your mind settle. Your focus narrows to one calm task. Your shoulders drop. Your breath grows longer. When the image appears, it surprises you, not with shock, but with tenderness. The scene is simple, two figures facing each other, hands raised as if in greeting, and between them, a small circle. Not a ring in the hand, but a circle floating like a shared moon. Your guide smiles. A meeting, they whisper. A bond, a reminder that people wanted connection even in their symbols. The older attendant nods as if agreeing with the softness of that. Your guide steps back and lets you look at what you have rolled. Then they speak as if speaking to your night-worn heart. Here is another gentle discovery, they say. A seal leaves a mark, but it does not cling. The seal moves on, the mark stays. This is how calm can work too. You can do a small calming act and then you can let it stand on its own. They gesture toward the drying shelf. Rows of impressions rest there, each one a small promise pressed into clay. One breath, your guide continues, can be a seal. One slow exhale can leave a mark on the nervous system. It says, "We are safe enough to soften." The attendant begins to clean the tray, smoothing the clay again, preparing for tomorrow. The movements are quiet, repetitive, kind. Your guide gathers the seals gently and returns them to their places on the shelf. Each one is laid down as if being tucked into bed. The lapis seal is wrapped in linen, tied with cord, and placed in its box, ready to sleep. Before you leave, your guide takes your hand briefly and presses it lightly over your chest, not touching skin, only guiding your awareness. "Feel your own steady rhythm," they whisper. "It has been here all along, beneath the noise." You stand in the doorway of the room of seals and look back. The shelves are dim now. The lamp's glow is softer. The clay impressions on the drying shelf look like little windows into a quiet world. Your guide speaks one last sentence, slow as a closing eyelid.
"Tomorrow," they whisper, "we will let the corridor fade into a wider sky, and we will carry only one thing with us, the idea that the gentlest order is the one that helps you breathe."
When you step back into the courtyard, the air feels cooler than before, as if the night has lowered its voice another shade. The lamp-lit room of seals remains behind you, like a small, safe pocket of order, but outside, the world is wider: reed, water, and sky. Your guide walks beside you without speaking for a while. They let the quiet do its gentle work, the way a slow current smooths the edge of a stone. You pass a low wall where the clay still holds the warmth of the day. You pass a doorway where a woven mat hangs, moving slightly with the breeze. Somewhere inside, someone turns in sleep, and the sound is no more than cloth shifting on a mat. At the center of the courtyard, the basin of water reflects a thin slice of starlight. Your guide pauses there and looks down as if greeting an old friend. The torch in the niche is smaller now, and the flame makes the water shimmer in a soft, unhurried circle. "Do you notice," your guide whispers, "how the same shapes keep returning?" They gesture toward the reflection, circle. Then they lift a hand and trace an invisible line from the torch to the basin, from the basin to the doorway, from the doorway to the open sky. Line. "A rod and a ring," they say, not as a lecture, but as a lullaby. A line and a circle. And then, beyond the temple, another pattern, steps on a ziggurat, tears on a crown, waves in a border. The old world liked repetition. Repetition told the body it could soften. You breathe in slowly. The air smells faintly of damp clay and reeds, with a trace of smoke that has already calmed down. As you breathe out, the day feels farther away, not because it has been erased, but because it has been placed on a shelf. Your guide leads you to a narrow stair that climbs to the roofline of the temple enclosure. The steps are shallow and worn smooth, the kind of steps that invite caution rather than speed. You climb in a slow rhythm, foot, pause, foot, pause. The rhythm feels like a quiet metronome. At the top, the world opens. Eridu lies low beneath you, its houses and courtyards dim, its lamps few. Beyond the walls, the marshland spreads, dark and breathing. You can hear water moving through reeds, a soft, continuous sound like a long exhale that never quite ends. Farther still, the plain stretches toward other cities, Nippur, Uruk, places you have visited tonight in memory and imagination, places connected by roads and river channels and the traveling thread of blue stone. Above everything is the sky. The stars are steady, not flickering with urgency, but holding their positions with patient calm. The moon, if it is present, is modest, thin, pale, careful not to disturb. A faint band of lighter darkness arcs overhead, as if the sky is wearing a soft scarf of distant light. Your guide sits on the roof's edge and invites you to sit too. The brick beneath you is cool. Your body feels supported. Your shoulders drop without being told. For a while, you simply look up. In the old riverlands, people watched this sky every night. They watched it from rooftops, from fields, from boats, from temple steps. They noticed patterns that returned, certain stars rising in the same place, certain constellations leaning toward the horizon in the same season. They did not have to own the sky to be held by it. They only had to look and breathe. Your guide speaks softly, careful not to wake the analytical part of your mind. Some symbols, they say, were made of stone and gold, but the first symbol was always the sky. The sky is the largest seal, rolling night after night, pressing its pattern into the mind. You let the image settle, a seal of stars, a slow roll of constellations, a mark of repetition that says, "You have been here before, and you will be here again, and the world can still be gentle." Below, a reed bed rustles. The sound is small, steady, soothing. In a small corner of the roof, a low table holds a clay tablet that has not yet dried. Someone has pressed a few quiet marks into it, not numbers, meant to burden you, but simple impressions, a crescent, a dot, a short line, another dot. Your guide tells you that people here watched the sky with the same patience they used to roll seals. They noticed when a bright star returned to the same place near dawn, when the moon's curve changed, when the first cool wind arrived smelling of distant water, and they pressed those returns into clay so tired minds could rest again. A young watcher sits nearby, wrapped in a plain cloak. Their task is not dramatic. They simply stay awake long enough to witness the sky's slow movement. Then they rest. The watcher points gently, and you follow their finger to a cluster of stars that hovers like scattered seeds. In the river cities, those points helped travelers keep direction. In the fields, they helped farmers sense the turning of time. In the temple, they helped the heart remember that life moves in cycles, and cycles mean return. Return is a soothing word, like a door that opens to a familiar room. Your guide leans closer and says, "When the seal rolls, it makes a loop. When the sky turns, it makes a loop. And when you breathe in and out, you make a loop too." They let you listen to your own breath for a moment, as if it is the simplest calendar you will ever need. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. No alarm, no deadline, only the gentle truth that you are still here. The night is still kind, and the stars remain. Let that loop be enough for now. Your guide lifts the lapis seal from its cloth bundle and holds it under the starlight. In this light, the blue looks deeper, almost black, and the gold flecks inside it look like tiny echoes of the sky above. "Do you see why they loved it?" Your guide whispers. It carried the night in your hand. They place the seal in your palm. It is cool, grounding. You hold it without rolling it, without making a mark. Just holding is enough. Your fingers find the carved lines, and you can almost feel the image waiting, patient, like a story that does not mind being told slowly. Your guide points to the sky again, and the horned crown, they continue, was a way of bringing the sky down to human scale. Tiers, steps, levels. A reminder that there is distance, yes, but also structure. If there is structure, there is a path. If there is a path, the mind can stop panicking. The words do not land as theory, they land as comfort. If you want, take another slow breath in, let it fill the ribs gently, then breathe out as if you are smoothing a sheet on a bed. Slow, careful, complete. Your guide asks a question, tender and unhurried. If time were a long corridor, they say, what if the stars are the lamps along the hallway? Not bright, not glaring, just enough light to remind you there is a way. You do not need to answer. You can let the question float above you like a small cloud. A memory rises, perhaps your own, perhaps borrowed from the city. A person in tired from carrying water. A person in Nippur, tired from counting grain. A person in Uruk, tired from climbing steps. They all looked up. They all saw the same steady points of light. They all felt for a moment that life was part of something larger, and that the larger thing did not hurry. Your guide nods as if sensing what you are feeling. Soft discovery, they whisper. When people carved seals, they weren't only preserving power or ownership. They were borrowing the calm of the cosmos. They were pressing the sky's order into the clay of daily life. The idea is gentle and simple. It asks nothing of you except to breathe. Below, the city is almost silent. A lamp is extinguished, another remains. The darkness is not threatening, it is protective. It hides edges, it smooths corners, it invites the eyes to close. Your guide wraps the lapis seal again and ties the cord with the same care the attendants used for crowns and rosettes. Not. Pause. Not. The motion is slow enough to soothe. Everything returns, your guide says. The seal returns to its cloth, the jewelry returns to its box, the ritual returns to stillness, and you, when you are tired, can return to breath. They turn their gaze toward the marshland. The water down there reflects a faint path of starlight, broken by reeds, rejoined, broken again, rejoined again. It looks like a line learning to become a calm, imperfect ribbon. See that? Your guide whispers. Even the reflection doesn't have to be perfect. It only has to be steady enough. You feel your eyelids grow heavier. The roof's coolness supports you. The air is quiet. The sky is patient. Your guide speaks one more thought, barely more than breath. Tomorrow, we'll bring the journey toward closure, not by ending it sharply, but by letting it taper like a torch, becoming embers. We will take one small lesson from the old symbols. The gentlest order is the order that lets you sleep. They pause, and in the pause you hear the night's soft chorus. Water, reeds, distant wind. Then your guide adds, if tonight's sky reminded you of a memory, a rooftop, a quiet drive, a childhood night, hold it gently. And if you wish, you can share it when you feel ready. Here, no one rests alone. You sit a little longer looking up. The stars do not change suddenly. They remain. The corridor of time remains. And you remain too, breathing, softening, drifting toward the safe edge of sleep. The roof of the temple is cooler now, and the sky above Eridu feels even wider, as if the night has stretched its arms and decided to hold everything without effort. For a long time, you and your guide simply sit, letting the stars do what they have always done. Remain steady, remain quiet, remain uninterested in your worries. Eventually, your guide stands, not suddenly, not sharply. They rise the way a slow tide rises, almost unnoticeable at first. They offer you a hand, not because you need help, but because touch can be a reminder that you are not traveling alone tonight. You descend the temple steps together, foot, pause, foot, pause. The stone under your soles is cool and dependable. With each step, the rooftop wind becomes softer, replaced by the sheltered air of courtyards and corridors. A faint scent of damp clay meets you again, and somewhere nearby, a reed mat shifts with a sleepy rustle. In the courtyard, the basin still holds a trembling circle of torchlight. It looks like a small moon resting in water. Your guide kneels beside it and watches the reflection for a moment, as if listening to the slow conversation between flame and ripple. Everything we've seen tonight, they whisper, has been teaching the same gentle lesson, not a lesson for the mind to debate, a lesson for the body to remember. They take the cloth bundle from their side and loosen the cord. Inside, the lapis seal sleeps in its linen. The blue is darker here than it was on the roof, but when the torch leans and breathes, the flecks inside the stone wake like tiny sparks. Your guide does not roll the seal. They simply hold it in their palm and let it be. This is the kind of beauty that doesn't need to perform, they say softly. It can rest. An attendant enters the courtyard, moving with the quiet competence of someone who has learned to protect calm. They carry a small wooden tray with a folded piece of linen, a cord, and a box polished by years of hands. They bow their heads slightly to you both, then set the tray down as if setting down a sleeping child. Your guide nods, and together you begin the closing, slowly, tenderly, without any sense of loss. First, the rod and the ring. The attendant opens the plain box. The circle and the line lie inside like two simple thoughts. Your guide lifts the ring, and for a moment the torchlight makes it glow. The curve catches light and returns it, gentle as a quiet smile. Then the ring is placed back into linen, cushioned, protected. The rod follows, straight and modest like a path that does not hurry. Your guide ties the cord in a simple knot. The knot is small, but it feels meaningful. It says, "For now, we are finished. For now, we are safe to stop." If you want, you can borrow that knot for your own night. You can tie your day closed with one small act, not a grand vow, just something steady. A glass rinsed and left to dry. A light dimmed, a phone set face down. One quiet boundary, one gentle belonging. Your guide looks at you and asks a question that lands like warm water on tired hands. What would you like to set on a shelf until morning? You don't have to answer out loud. You can simply imagine it. A worry in a clay bowl, a responsibility folded like cloth, a conversation you can finish later, a thought that has been pacing in circles. Tonight, you can let it sit. The attendant brings another box, cedar-scented, lined with cloth. Your guide opens it, and inside is a crown with tiers of horns warmed by lamplight. The horns rise like quiet steps, repeating, and the repetition feels like a lullaby. Your guide lifts the crown with two hands and holds it for a moment in the air, not to show it off, to honor the slow craft that made it, the patience that shaped each curve. Then the crown is lowered into its bedding of linen and tucked away. The lid closes with a soft wooden sigh. Even symbols, your guide whispers, get to sleep. The courtyard seems to exhale with you, now the lapis seal. Your guide wraps the blue stone in linen, folding the cloth neatly at the corners. Each fold is deliberate, like someone making a bed for a precious thing. The cord circles around once, twice, and then the knot settles. The seal disappears into its box, not as if it has vanished, but as if it has returned to a safe darkness. You notice the tenderness in that. The ancient world did not only build monuments, it also built containers. It made places for things to rest. It understood that value does not need constant exposure. Value can be protected by quiet. In the distance, beyond the temple walls, the marshland breathes. Water slides through reeds with a sound like long, slow breathing. Somewhere an insect sings a single note and then stops, as if it too is falling asleep. Your guide leads you through a corridor toward the room of seals. The air inside is cool and still. A lamp burns low on the table, its flame steady and small. Shelves line the walls, holding clay tablets in neat stacks. The drying impressions you saw earlier are there too, each one a soft window pressed into clay. Your guide moves along the shelf, placing each seal back into its place. The motions are unhurried, careful, almost affectionate. A pale stone seal rests beside another. A darker seal rests beside it. The lapis box goes to a spot that seems chosen not for rank, but for balance. Everything returns to its row. As you watch, you feel something inside you wanting to imitate this order, not in a strict way, but in a soothing way. You might imagine your own room at home, your own shelf, your own small places where you return things. You might feel how calming it is when the world does not feel scattered. The attendant begins to wipe the table with a damp cloth. The strokes are slow. The surface darkens and then dries. The lamp's glow reflects for a moment and then settles again. Your guide watches this simple cleaning as if it is a sacred act, because tonight it is. People think sacredness needs spectacle, your guide whispers. But sometimes it's just this, returning things, making room, leaving a surface clear. They invite you to look at the clay impressions one more time. On one tablet, a seated figure holds rod and ring. On another, a boat glides through reeds. On another, two figures face each other with a small circle between them. Each scene feels like a gentle breath captured in earth. These were not only marks, your guide says. They were pauses. Moments when a hand slowed down. Moments when the mind could stop spinning. A small thought arises, tender and practical. You can make pauses like that too. You can roll your own seal into the night with a steady breath. Inhale, slow. Exhale, longer. Inhale, slow. Exhale, longer. Each exhale leaves a mark you can't see, but you can feel. Your guide turns down the lamp slightly, shielding it so the light becomes softer. The room darkens, not abruptly, but like a curtain easing toward closed. Listen, your guide whispers. In the dimness, you hear the simplest sounds. The faint crackle of oil in the lamp, the gentle shifting of cloth as the attendant folds it, the quiet settling of clay tablets on shelves. Nothing demands you, nothing surprises you. Everything is predictable in the best way. Your guide speaks again, slower now, as if the words are meant to be carried only as far as your pillow. Tonight we walked through ancient cities, they say. But the real journey was smaller. It was the journey from a scattered mind to a steadier one, from tight shoulders to softer shoulders, from fast breath to slow breath. They pause and let the silence fill the space where your thoughts used to rush. And we did it, they continue, with small things, a ring, a rod, a blue stone, a box, a knot, a pattern that repeats. The attendant closes the last box and sets it on the shelf. The lid makes a dull, gentle sound. Then the attendant bows once and leaves, their footsteps fading down the corridor like a calm wave receding. You and your guide remain. Your guide asks one last question, almost playful in its softness. If time is a long corridor, they whisper, what if you don't have to walk it alone? What if you can place small lanterns along the way, one at a time? They gesture toward the shelf. A lantern can be as simple as returning your keys to the same bowl, as simple as brushing your teeth slowly, as simple as taking 3 long breaths before you close your eyes. Your guide stands and offers you their calm attention, as if it is a blanket. Tomorrow, they say, we will bring you back to your own bed. We will let the ancient images fade like embers, and we will leave you with only what you need, a quiet sense of order and the permission to rest. They begin to lead you out of the room. The corridor is dim. The courtyard is darker now. The sky above is unchanged, steady in its patient pattern. If tonight's corridor stirred a small memory, a kitchen light, a late drive, a quiet hospital hallway, hold it gently. If you ever feel like sharing, you can leave it below. Your memory might be someone else's soft lantern too in this calm corner. And as you step into the night air again, you feel the smallest, sweetest shift inside you, the feeling that the world is not asking you to do anything right now. It is only asking you to be. The temple corridors behind you grow dimmer as you and your guide walk slowly back into the open air. The courtyard is darker now, as if Eridu has turned down the last lamp in the house of the world. The torch in its niche is only a small ember of light, a warm eye half closed. Above, the sky is still wide and patient. Your guide pauses at the basin one final time. The water reflects a faint star, trembling gently whenever the breeze touches the surface. The reflection is imperfect, broken by ripples, softened by darkness, yet it remains. And that feels like a comfort. You don't have to be perfect to be steady. You sit together on the cool brick edge. Your guide does not rush the ending, because endings, like sleep, arrive best when they are allowed to taper. For a while, there is only the sound of reeds moving in the distance and the slow, continuous hush of water sliding through marsh channels. The city behind the walls has almost completely quieted. A dog sighs somewhere and settles. A lamp goes out. The night deepens another shade. Your guide speaks, and their voice is barely more than breath. "Do you remember how it began?" they ask softly. "With blue." You do. The lapis seal in your palm, the cool weight, the tiny stars inside stone, the sense that a piece of night could be held in a human hand. "And do you remember what we found inside the blue?" Your guide continues. "Not a threat, not a demand, a pattern. A crown built in gentle tears, a rod and a ring, line and circle, boundary and belonging. A seal that rolled across clay with one steady motion, leaving an image that didn't shout, only reassured." Your guide lets the words rest in the air for a moment, the way you might let a warm cup rest between your hands before you drink. "In the end," they whisper, "the ancient world wasn't only monuments, it was also small practices. Small actions that told people you can breathe, you can slow down, you can set things back where they belong." They turn their gaze toward the temple doorway where the boxes have been put away. Crowns in linen, rosettes in cloth, rod and ring tied with cord, lapis sealed in darkness. Everything tucked in, everything allowed to rest. "Even gold learned to sleep," your guide murmurs, as if the phrase itself is a blessing. If you want, let that phrase settle in your body. Even gold learned to sleep. Even symbols were not carried forever. Even sacred things were allowed to be put away. So you can be put away too, for the night, not erased, not forgotten, just safely placed. Your guide invites you to notice your breath again. Breathe in, slowly, comfortably. Breathe out, longer, as if smoothing a sheet across a bed. Breathe in, soft. Breathe out, soft. Inhale and exhale, a loop, a circle, a quiet return. If time were a long corridor, your guide says, you don't have to run down it tonight. You can sit at the edge of it and simply breathe. They let the question you asked earlier come back, like a familiar refrain. If time were a long corridor, would you prefer to walk or breathe? And now, in the deep quiet of Eridu, the answer might feel different. Walking requires direction. Breathing requires trust. You don't need to choose with your mind. Your body will choose for you, slowly, as it settles. The breeze shifts, the water shivers once and then becomes still again. The basin holds a small star in its dark mirror. Your guide continues, keeping their words soft and spaced. People used seals to press order into clay, they say. But you can press order into your night with something simpler. They gesture toward the basin. One small ritual, one small return, one gentle boundary. A line. The moment you decide you have done enough for today, a circle, the blanket that holds you, the bed that supports you, the slow rhythm of your breath. Your guide's voice becomes warmer, more intimate. Tonight, they say, you can place your worries on a shelf the way the temple placed its ornaments. Fold them like cloth, tie them with a cord, tell them you can wait until morning. If it helps, imagine it now, a wooden shelf, a clay bowl, a piece of pale linen. Choose one worry, only one, and place it into the bowl. Cover it with the linen. Tie it with a simple knot. Now it can rest. Your guide sits in silence with you for a few breaths, letting the imagination become a physical feeling. Your shoulders lighter, your forehead smoother, your jaw less tense. Then softly, they speak a sentence that feels like the final ember of a torch. The most beautiful things, they whisper, always arrive in silence. And then they add, quieter still, the most beautiful rest does too. You look up again at the sky. The stars have not changed their position suddenly. They are still there, like steady lanterns, like old friends who do not need conversation to keep you company. Your guide turns toward you. Here, they say, no one rests alone. Every story from the past is a soft lantern in the dark, gently lighting our way tonight. The words are not an announcement, they are a hand on your shoulder. Now, with care, your guide begins to lead you away from the temple courtyard, along a path that feels more like returning home than leaving. The walls grow softer in shadow. The canal glimmers once between reeds. A palm leaf brushes the air with a faint hiss, like a whispered goodnight. You arrive at a simple room, quiet, dim, safe. A mat lies on the floor. A woven blanket waits. The air is cooler near the ground. The only light is a small lamp turned low like a heartbeat. Your guide does not tell you to sleep. They simply describe the conditions that make sleep easy. The room is still. The night is steady. Your breath is slow. The world can wait. They pause at the doorway, their silhouette soft against the dimness. If tonight's story brought you calm, they say gently, leave a gentle comment for yourself, something small like a pebble you can find again later. If tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, they add, feel free to share it below. And don't forget to subscribe for more peaceful nighttime journeys. Their voice remains warm, never loud. Then they offer the last image, an image meant to carry you into sleep like water carrying a leaf. Imagine, far behind you now, the ziggurat steps of Uruk fading into misty darkness. Imagine the temple boxes of resting closed, gold sleeping inside linen. Imagine Nippur's storerooms quiet, jars and tablets settled in their places. Imagine the caravan road empty beneath stars, the lapis safely tucked in a pouch, traveling only in memory now. And imagine Eridu's basin holding one faint star, trembling then still. Star remains, the water remains, the night remains, and you here now are allowed to remain too, without doing anything, without proving anything, without carrying anything, just breathing, just resting, just drifting.
Our story pauses here. Every visual and word you've experienced was assisted by AI, yet guided and perfected by sincere human emotion. We hope this harmony of history and technology has crafted a beautiful dream for you tonight. Let go and drift deep into sleep. Good night.